Have you ever been falling asleep, drifting into a perfect, peaceful slumber, when suddenly your entire body violently jerks awake? It feels like you just stepped off a cliff, your heart hammers against your ribs, and you are left staring at the ceiling wondering if your body just short-circuited. You aren't dying. But why does your brain think you are when you are just trying to rest? Or what about that incredibly annoying twitch in your eyelid that will not stop for 3 days straight, making you look like you are constantly winking at strangers? What about the absolute agony of a brain freeze, the sudden explosion of a sneeze when you step into the bright sunlight, or the bizarre reality that simply hearing the word yawn can force your own jaw to stretch wide open against your will? Our bodies are masterpieces of biological engineering, yet they are constantly doing things completely behind our backs. We like to think we are the pilots of these flesh suits, totally in control of every movement, thought, and reflex. But the truth is, your subconscious mind is running a massive, hidden operation. It is pulling levers, pressing panic buttons, and triggering bizarre physical glitches without ever asking for your permission. Today, we are opening up the secret manual of human biology to solve 5 of the strangest mysteries of your involuntary body behaviors. By the end of this, you will realize that your body isn't actually broken, it is just operating on an ancient, brilliant, and sometimes hilariously outdated survival code. Number 1. The Hypnic jerk, the nighttime fake fall. Let's start with that terrifying fake fall. The medical term for this sudden nighttime jolt is a hypnic jerk, or a myoclonic jerk. To understand why it happens, we have to look at the delicate neurological transition your brain makes when you move from conscious wakefulness to unconscious sleep. As you fall asleep, your muscles begin to deeply relax. Your breathing slows down, your body temperature drops, and your heart rate plummets. This is a highly coordinated dance managed by your nervous system. However, sometimes things go out of sync. If you are overtired, highly stressed, sleep-deprived, or consumed by too much caffeine, your body's motor system struggles to hand over the controls to your sleep centers cleanly. Your muscles relax just a little too quickly, and your heart rate drops a bit too fast. When this happens, a very primitive part of your brain, misinterpreting the sudden drop in vital signs, enters a state of absolute panic. It looks at the rapidly sagging muscles and the plummeting heart rate and reaches a terrifying conclusion: we are dying. Or worse, we are falling out of a tree. To understand why your brain thinks you are falling from a tree, we have to look at our evolutionary history. Our ancestral primates spent millions of years sleeping securely in trees to avoid predators on the ground. Falling out of a tree during the night meant certain death, either from the impact or from the predators waiting below. Therefore, your brain developed a fail-safe survival mechanism. When your modern brain senses a sudden, drastic drop in muscle tone that happens too fast, it fires a massive, instantaneous burst of neurotransmitters to your limbs. It is essentially an emergency adrenaline shot designed to snap you awake instantly so you can stretch out your arms, catch a branch on the way down, and save your life. When you violently jerk awake on your modern mattress, you are experiencing a literal echo of ancient survival history. Your brain didn't mean to terrify you or ruin your night, it was just trying to save your life from a tree that hasn't existed for millions of years. Number 2. Myokymia, the endless eyelid twitch. But what about the glitches that happen when you are wide awake? Let's talk about that incredibly frustrating, completely uninvited guest, the endless eyelid twitch. Scientifically, this is known as myokymia. It is a tiny, localized muscle spasm that feels like an absolute earthquake on your face. You become utterly convinced that everyone in the room can see your eye pulsing wildly, even though if you look closely in a mirror, it is barely a visible flicker. Why does this specific spot cause so much trouble? The answer lies in the unique anatomy of your face. The muscles that control your eyelids, particularly the orbicularis oculi, are incredibly delicate, thin, and highly sensitive. Because they have to move rapidly to blink thousands of times a day to keep your eyes lubricated, they are packed with tiny, hyperresponsive nerve endings. When you are stressed, anxious, overworked, or running on nothing but coffee, your body releases elevated levels of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones put your central nervous system into a state of high alert. Think of your nerves like electrical wires running through a house. When you overload the electrical system with stress, exhaustion, or too much caffeine, those wires start to spark and misfire. Because the eyelid muscles are so thin and heavily innervated, they are the very first to react to this neurological static. The nerve misfires, sending a rapid-fire chain of involuntary contraction commands to the delicate muscle fibers. The muscle doesn't have the energy to pull off a full blink, so it just quivers endlessly in place. The good news is that myokymia is completely harmless. It is just your nervous system's way of waving a tiny red flag, telling you that you desperately need to put down the energy drinks, step away from your computer screen, and get some actual rest. Number 3. Sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, the brain freeze. Speaking of things you cannot control, let's move from your eyes to your mouth. Imagine taking a massive bite of a delicious ice cream cone or a huge gulp of a freezing cold slushie on a scorching hot summer day. For a brief second, it is absolute heaven. Then, a sudden, blinding, agonizing pain tears through your forehead. It feels like someone just drove an icicle straight into your skull. You freeze, grip your head, and wait for the misery to pass. You are experiencing sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, universally known as a brain freeze. The most ironic part about a brain freeze is that your brain itself cannot actually feel pain. The brain tissue possesses no nociceptors, which are the specialized nerve receptors that detect pain. So, what are you actually feeling? When something intensely cold hits the roof of your mouth, it causes a rapid, dramatic drop in temperature at the back of your throat. This area is a major intersection for crucial blood vessels, including the internal carotid artery, which supplies vital blood to your brain, and the anterior cerebral artery. Your brain is highly sensitive to temperature changes. It requires a stable, warm baseline of blood flow to function properly. When the roof of your mouth suddenly freezes, your brain's temperature monitoring center panics. It thinks your entire skull is entering a dangerous state of hypothermia. To protect itself and keep the brain warm, your body immediately orders those blood vessels to rapidly dilate, opening up wide to flood the area with warm blood to heat things back up. This sudden, violent expansion of blood vessels pushes hard against the surrounding tissues, activating a massive nerve bundle located right above the roof of your mouth called the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve is responsible for conducting sensations from your entire face, jaw, and forehead to your brain. Because this nerve is so large and complex, the sudden flood of intense pain signals gets crossed in transit. The nerve tells your brain that there is a massive trauma occurring, but your brain misinterprets the exact location of the signal. Instead of registering the pain in the roof of your mouth where the cold actually is, it projects the pain onto your forehead. This is a neurological phenomenon called referred pain. Your brain freeze is literally a false alarm caused by a massive traffic jam of warning signals in your facial nerves. Number 4. The Photic sneeze reflex. Sun-induced sneezing. Now, let's look at an involuntary behavior that leaves a large portion of the population completely baffled while the rest have never experienced it at all. Imagine walking out of a dark movie theater or stepping out of a dimly lit house into the bright, brilliant sunlight. Within seconds, you feel an uncontrollable tickle in your nose, and you unleash a massive sneeze. If this happens to you, you are part of the roughly 20 to 30% of the global population that possesses the photic sneeze reflex, humorously referred to by scientists as ACHOO syndrome, which stands for autosomal dominant compelling helioophthalmic outburst. For decades, people assumed this was just a weird quirk, but it is actually a fascinating look at how crowded the wiring inside our skulls truly is. The reflex is entirely genetic, passed down directly through families, and it is caused by a phenomenon known as neurological crosstalk. Inside your brain, you have 12 cranial nerves that manage everything happening in your head. Two of the most important nerves for this mystery are the optic nerve, which transmits visual signals from your eyes to your brain, and the trigeminal nerve, which we mentioned earlier, which controls sensations in your face, including the inside of your nose. These two nerves run incredibly close to each other along the same neural pathways. When you step into bright sunlight, your eyes are suddenly flooded with an immense amount of light. Your brain sends an intense, high-voltage electrical signal down the optic nerve telling your pupils to immediately constrict to protect your vision. However, because the wires are bundled so closely together, that massive electrical signal leaks over into the neighboring trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve receives this unexpected electrical spark and gets confused. It misinterprets the light signal as an irritation inside your nasal passages. It assumes a piece of dust or pepper has entered your nose, and it instantly triggers the involuntary sneeze reflex to blow the non-existent dust out. It is a literal short-circuiting of your brain's sensory wiring. Your eyes see the light, but your nose takes the blame. Number 5. The contagious yawn, evolutionary empathy. Finally, let us explore a behavior that is so powerful it can cross from one person to another just by sight, the contagious yawn. We all know that yawning happens when we are tired, bored, or trapped in a stagnant room. For a very long time, scientists believed we yawned simply to pump more oxygen into our blood and expel carbon dioxide. But that theory has been thoroughly debunked by modern research. You do not yawn more in a room with low oxygen levels. Instead, yawning appears to be a dual-purpose mechanism. It acts as a literal cooling system for your brain, and a powerful tool for social survival. When you yawn, the deep inhalation of cool air, combined with the stretching of your jaw muscles, increases blood flow to your skull. This acts like a radiator in a car, cooling down the blood traveling to your brain and helping you maintain alertness when you are getting drowsy. But why is it so incredibly contagious? If you see someone yawn, hear someone yawn, or even if you just read the word yawn right now, there is an incredibly high chance you will feel an undeniable, primal urge to open your mouth and copy them. This happens because of a highly advanced group of brain cells called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are the foundation of human empathy, learning, and social connection. When you watch someone perform an action, like smiling, crying, or stretching, your mirror neurons fire in a way that mimics that exact action inside your own mind. It allows you to mentally simulate and feel what another person is experiencing. In ancient human history, before the development of complex language, early human tribes lived in highly dangerous environments where group synchronization was the difference between life and death. Yawning was used as a nonverbal communication tool to coordinate the behavior of the pack. If a tribal leader yawned to cool their brain and stay alert during a long night watch, the rest of the tribe's mirror neurons would automatically trigger a chain reaction of yawning. This ensured that the entire group's brains were simultaneously stimulated, keeping everyone awake, alert, and vigilant against predators. When you catch a yawn from a friend, or even from a complete stranger across a crowded room, it is a profound sign that your brain is working exactly as nature intended. It means you possess the capacity for deep empathy and social connection. Your brain is unconsciously trying to bond with the people around you, keeping you perfectly in sync with the human pack. When you look at all 5 of these strange behaviors together, the hypnic jerk, the eyelid twitch, the brain freeze, the photic sneeze, and the contagious yawn, a beautiful pattern begins to emerge. None of these occurrences are random accidents or design flaws. They are not signs that your body is failing you or that your biology is poorly put together. Your body is an incredibly complex biological machine that has spent millions of years evolving to survive in a chaotic, unpredictable world. It is constantly working in the shadows, using ancient survival instincts, advanced neurological networks, and hypersensitive defense mechanisms to protect you, connect you to others, and navigate the pressures of daily life. The next time your body jolts you awake, twitches your eye, freezes your brain, short-circuits your nose, or forces you to yawn, don't be annoyed. Take a moment to appreciate the incredible, invisible intelligence running the show beneath your skin. Your body is a wonder of solved mysteries, constantly watching out for you, even when you have absolutely no idea it is doing it.